shout out to Fergie. Happy birthday to Sphinx in the chat. And what's up and welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Friday, April 7th, 2023. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by
one of the coolest dudes.
I was about to say it.
Is that what you're
I was about to say it, Les. It was stuck in my head. Recently, I don't know if you were part of this conversation, but I realized that I haven't introed Greg as one of the coolest dudes in video games in a long time because I got calling him the Big Daddy. You know?
I mean, he is a big daddy.
He is a big daddy, but he's also one of the coolest dudes in video games. So I recently went back to it, and it did just feel right. But you know what? You're one of the coolest dudes in video games as well.
Wow.
Bless. You know?
I'm honored.
Yeah, and also the new face of video games. How you doing, Bless?
I'm doing pretty good. I'll be honest, it's a tired Friday morning. I started drinking the coffee, and I started feeling like this is infiltrating my system.
Infiltrating.
But as it was doing that, I was like, I should slow down. You know, I don't want to go on KFD all pumped up, ready to go.
Greg on Coke.
Exactly.
Coca-Cola.
I don't want to be a Greg on Coca-Cola. And so I started drinking water instead, and the effect is gone now.
Okay. Well, you still have your coffee there. You can balance it out a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and forth. I'm trying to balance it. You know.
Yeah.
Or chug it right now. Just chug it all right now.
Absolutely not.
My
if this
coffee's
was anything
on the
else,
way.
if it was anything else, I would chug it. If the coffee, no, I know what's gonna happen to me.
I was a little late getting out of my house today, and there was a little bit of a miscommunication between me and Gia about the car, and she needed it, and I was like, well, I got to get to work. This is a complicated situation. So she was like, it's okay. I'll go with you and take the car. But because of that, ran out of time to get my coffee. So love of my life, Gia out there. She's getting me coffee right now. She's bringing it back to me. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic stuff for everybody. I'm having a great time. Yeah. I know I've already talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie a lot, Bless, but I'm not done because I saw it a third time last night.
Oh, yeah.
This time in 40X, which I do recommend for this movie. Great experience, adds to it, fun time for everybody. A lot of drifting in the cart.
I was going to say, when does the 40X kick in ways you're like, oh, let's go?
You know, what I was most impressed by the 40X in Mario was the subtlety, which is a weird thing to say.
Interesting.
But it's more like the bass notes of like Bowser's steps. Like you feel just a little bit of a shake.
That's actually really cool.
It's not super overwhelming. There are parts that are overwhelming. It's 40X. That's how it goes. But the number one star for me was, now that I've seen I've seen the movie 3 times. Once was the premiere. Once was just a press screener in San Francisco, which always have different vibes than the general populace, right? Seeing this on Thursday, not quite opening night, but close enough to opening night. Absolutely sold out, packed crowd. But to be there with the kids, Bless, you need to rewatch this movie again, and you need to do it just to feel their energy. It was like Avengers Endgame for us, but for these like 5 to 10-year-olds.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely losing their mind. All the music cues we're freaking out about, they're freaking out about, laughing at every joke. But there's this one kid in particular that the moment we see Luigi with the flashlight, just starts yelling at the top of his lungs, Luigi's Mansion! And it was just
Let's go.
There's just pure joy left in this world. And it just made me very, very happy.
It fills me with so much joy that the kids appreciate Nintendo the way that we appreciate Nintendo. Because that's the thing you I guess not worry about. That's the thing I think about every now and then is I know how special Nintendo is for me because I played Super Mario Brothers as a kid. I played Mario 3. I played Mario 64. Knowing that the kids aren't having those same experiences, I'm like, is Mario hitting the same way for y'all? And to hear, a kid hollering and being like, "Oh, Luigi's Mansion!" I get that reference.
Like,
because of course Luigi's Mansion is on the Switch, right? You can play it right now.
Totally, yeah. It's to your point. Like I think the future's in good hands when it comes to our favorite plumber, at the very least. I don't know about many other things, but yeah, between the theme park, this movie, and like just the kids playing the games. Things are going to be all right.
Spoilers for the Roper Report. As I was putting together the show, there's one story that was about the Mario soundtrack, about how the movie soundtrack is up on Spotify. And you can listen to it right now. And did I immediately switch over to Spotify, turn on the soundtrack, and I listened to that while I was putting together Games Daily? Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
That soundtrack hits so well, even without the context of the movie. Like, just listening to the most beautiful orchestration I've ever heard in my life. It's incredible. You know, they knocked it out the park.
Real quick, again, not to go too long on this, but I want to give a couple shout outs to the Mario movie because one thing that I love about it is how much homages it has to the games and the things that we know and love from Mario's past. But it also gives a new identity to Mario. I've been talking on this show and many shows that for almost a decade, or if not more, if you count just the art style's inception, Mario and friends have looked the same, have felt the same. All the games look the same. Getting this different take in the movie, there's added things to Mario that we'll now be able to love forever. original score is fantastic. The new original theme for Mario in this movie that they use as like a motif throughout it all is so good and so in line with Koji Kondo's work on all the other Mario games, to the point that them next to each other just feels right. So I'm very impressed with that. On top of that, just like there's like unique motions that Mario makes, like his Let's A Go motion where he kind of looks down and looks up. It's like, oh shit, you guys just gave Mario new iconic things. And I just really appreciate that little stuff. Mario and Luigi's handshake and stuff.
Oh my God.
Like, they just got it down, man.
They got it down.
Shout out to the Super Mario Brothers movie. Go watch it this weekend, just like everybody else in the world is going to do. And then go home and listen to the soundtrack that, of course, I pre-ordered on vinyl. But, you know, it is what it is. But you know what? Enough about all of that. Today's stories include some updates on Resident Evil 4, rumors on PSVR 2 production, and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. We do it each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or listen on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily, and we'll be right there for you. Remember, you can go to Epic. You can use our Epic creator code KindaFunny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. To be part of the show, you can head to kindafunny.com/KFGD to write in with your questions, squad ups, and more. And remember, patreon.com/KindaFunny will get you the show ad-free, plus a bevy of bonus content. You're definitely going to want to check it out. Amazing episodes of Kinda Feudy recently. Somebody's just been on an amazing tear. I'm not going to say who it is.
Who could that be?
Maybe it's somebody that looks like a big turtle right now. You know what I'm talking about? That's me, everybody. This is a big
you're just in theme. You're in theme.
Turtle. You ready for that, huh, Bless?
I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that at all.
Turtly enough for you?
I'm feeling so turtly. I've never seen the movie.
I've never seen the movie either, but I'm sure we've seen the same commercial trailer for it.
Once in school, they played it. Like it felt like it's the end of the year, we're watching a movie type of vibe. And I don't remember it except for that scene.
Of course. A new PS I Love You XOXO is up right now. The crew puts together their own PlayStation showcases for you to judge.
Tim,
I can't wait to check this one out.
I was going to say, if there's any episode I would recommend Tim Geddes check out of PS I Love You, it'd be this one.
I heard you guys recording it from the other room, and I was like, they're having so much fun now.
It was I put in almost too much work. And like I said this to Greg and Jen, I was like, guys, I put in a lot of work into this showcase. And then when Greg gets to his part where he's telling us about his showcase, I'm like, dude, I thought I put in work. Greg is like out here inventing trailers, just describing trailers and details from scratch. And it's incredible.
Well, the thing is, I don't know the details about what you, Janet, and Greg pitched, but there can only be one winner. And it's clearly whoever said where this thing was going to take place. Did anyone say it was going to take place live?
You'll have to watch.
You'll have to watch and see.
I'll have to watch and see, just like all of you out there. Over on Patreon, 2 new episodes of Remember Blank are available, where they remember their favorite Star Wars games and games that floored them. First games that ever floored them. We're trying something a little different with Remember Blank. More topical theme stuff. That's exciting.
Getting good feedback
cool.
on it too.
Yeah,
I think this format allows us to have more conversation as opposed to like one person bringing their game like show and tell and like just being the one person in the conversation. I like this format because it is okay. What's your favorite Star Wars game? And me, Mike, and Greg go around in the circle and talk about it and bring in the audience write-ins. Also like it's the only show where it's me, Mike, and Greg.
Yeah,
I'm not with Mike on any of our podcasts, and so like I rarely talk to him on content, and so I think having me, Greg, and Mike there as a trio is a pretty fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Some more little housekeeping for you. We just did our Super Mario Brothers movie in review. You can check that out now. And next week, we're going to be doing the 1993 Mario movie. I can't wait to do that with everybody. If you want to watch the movie for free, you can go to kindafunny.com/Mario to watch that via the Internet Archive. That's the version that we are going to be reviewing, ranking, and recapping on In Review next week.
And Tim. You have one final thing to tell the kids about?
Of course I do. Later today, after this. It won't be live because we keep getting dinged on trailers when we do stuff live. But sometime today, it will be available to everybody. Baird and I, of course, are going to react to the Ahsoka's trailer from Star Wars Celebration, as well as all of the Star Wars announcements. So much crazy stuff. Can't wait to talk to Baird about it later. But right now, I'm going to have to thank our Patreon producers, Tripod Plus Plus and Delaney Twining, for helping make this show happen. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays and Evil Dead Rise, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Thank you so much, Cool Greg. It's time for some news. 6 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Really lightheaded from that whole string of words together.
But you did it. You made it happen.
I did it, everybody.
And now you got your coffee in front of you.
Let me
Just
take a
a
sip.
big old, what do they call this one? A grande? A Trenta?
Trenta.
30
30 fluid ounces of iced coffee goodness.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either.
I'm a small boy.
You are a small boy.
Yeah,
Small world.
that's why the small coffee works for me.
Yeah. Story number 1. Resident Evil 4 Remake sales top 4 million units. This comes from George Yang at IGN. Resident Evil 4 Remake has now sold over 4 million copies worldwide, Capcom announced. This comes after Capcom previously revealed last month that the game sold over 3 million copies within its first 2 days of release. In addition to RE4 garnering interest and attention from the release of the Chainsaw demo prior to launch, sales of the title grew steadily following a highly positive reception from customers, driving worldwide sales over 4 million units. According to Alex Anil, writer of Itchy Tasty, an unofficial history of Resident Evil, Resident Evil 4 Remake is the second fastest selling Resident Evil in history. This means RE4 Remake is, by most measures, the second fastest selling RE in history within the first 2 weeks. However, it's very likely RE4 will overtake RE6 before long. RE6 shipped 4.5 million at launch, but didn't hit 5 million until nearly 12 months later.
That's a crazy drop off.
Yeah.
Like 4.5 at launch, and then you didn't get to 5 million until a year later.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I guess that makes sense, even if the games were not bad, were great, whatever it is. Like, at some point, there's going to have to be a major drop-off, unless you're Mario Kart. But, I mean, even with Mario Kart, at some point, there is a drop-off.
For sure.
As it kind of...
That's just such like a boom, like out of nowhere, and I'm sure part of that's probably word of mouth, right? Because RE6 is one of the ones that people don't fuck with.
RE6 is easily the most... frowned upon core Resident Evil title.
Remember
so
this
far.
logo?
Yeah, I do. The giraffe getting sucked off.
Yep.
I don't think I ever noticed that.
And like I remember
as soon as you said it, I identified it.
Yeah, I remember a trailer playing on TV one day for this, and my dad's not like an internet guy, so he's not even like really looking at commentary on the RE6 logo reveal. But he put together of like, why does that look like a giraffe getting sucked off? What's going on there?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
On I want to say episode 2 of Up at Noon, Greg and Brian Altano had a whole, and Mike Drucker, I think, like the whole core bit of that episode was making fun of this logo and things that it kind of looks like. And I remember it being very funny. Very funny. But yo, shout out to Resident Evil. Shout out to Capcom. We talk about this a lot, Bless, you and I, on this table right here. We talk about Ubisoft and like, what's going on, Ubisoft? What you doing? And then we talk about Capcom and we're like,
you're cruising.
You're cruising. You're doing it. You brought it back because Capcom was in a very bad space about 10 years ago. And then slowly but surely, they've really kind of turned the tides. Monster Hunter World, lighting the world on fire, and then all of these RE remakes, the new RE games, all of them working together so beautifully. Like, they're doing really cool stuff over there. And to see them find the success both from a sales perspective, from customers being happy and the consumers, but then also the critics loving this game, like, they've really cracked the code on remaking amazing games. And to go from 2 to 3 to 4 with RE, like, They pulled it off. Like, I'm still working my way through RE4 Remake, but RE4, I mean, of course, I'm loving it, man. Like, they did it. They really are accomplishing the dream of taking one of the best games ever and just making it modern and even better. And having just come off Dead Space and Metroid Prime, it's like we're out here, Bless.
Oh yeah, we're out here. Yeah, shout out to Ari. Interestingly enough, this goes back to the PS Love You episode. One of us brings up Pragmata from Capcom, right? And that sparked a thought for me of, is that going to be the next one, right? You're talking about Capcom being on a run of having very great entries into these franchises that have become these storied franchises for them. And so you're seeing Monster Hunter hit max quality. You're seeing RE now hit max quality, right? You're seeing Street Fighter seeming like, oh man, this next one seems like it's going to be fantastic. Is Pragmata the next one up? Is that going to be one that hits in the same way that a lot of the recent Capcom stuff has?
Help me out here, because I'm a little hazy right now.
Pragmata was the one that it debuted, I believe, at like a PlayStation showcase thing.
That's the space one, right? I know what Pragmata is, but I'm saying in terms of like Capcom's successes and failures recently, because we're talking about RE, we're talking about Monster Hunter, which all of those have been successes. What have their misses been?
Oh,
Mega Man 11 kind of came and went, but I don't think it was necessarily bad, but it just wasn't like we weren't hearing like record-breaking numbers or even critically it being too beloved. But besides that,
I mean, yeah, no, I'm trying to find. I mean, Exoprimal, that's a game that's going to come out this year. I played the beta, and that's one where they revealed it, and we're like, "Is this Dino Crisis? No, it's not Dino Crisis. Okay, this is some weird shit." I played like just a little bit of the beta, just a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, this seems actually like it could be pretty cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one that's out there.
People in the chat are saying the RE multiplayer games, and absolutely,
sure, yeah, of course,
that is very, very true.
Yeah, RE-verse, but like nobody was looking forward to RE-verse. I don't even think Capcom was looking forward to RE-verse. But then yeah, you're talking about the Capcom fighting game collections. You're talking about Great Ace Attorney, which people love Ace Attorney if I recall correctly. Monster Hunter Stories 2. I don't know what the reception was on that, but like that seems like something that was probably fine. Devil May Cry, of course, fantastic. The last Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like even going all the way back there, like DMC5 was fucking amazing.
Yeah, like the misses feel like they're low key stuff that would we even constitute those as big misses for Capcom.
Yeah, and that's great. And we have Street Fighter 6 coming up soon. Like Capcom is really, and we expect that to be great.
Yeah,
like just good on Capcom, man. They seem to be making all the right decisions.
Yeah.
All the right decisions.
All the right decisions.
All of them. Maybe not all of them, everybody. Maybe not all of them. Story number 2. Resident Evil 4 Remake has added microtransactions to upgrade weapons quicker.
Well, you only pay real money.
Modernizing some of the best games of all time. This isn't what I meant, Bless.
Is this not part? I didn't play all the way through Resident Evil 4 on the PS2. Was this not a feature?
I mean, well, how many times have you heard the "What are you buying"?
Exactly. That's what I assumed I was paying real money. I assumed that I was paying $3 for one of them tickets.
This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Capcom has added microtransactions to RE4 Remake, enabling players to pay extra to upgrade their weapons quicker. The free Mercenaries Mode DLC is added to the game today, but it's also been accompanied by 11 new pieces of paid DLC called exclusive upgrade tickets, each letting players speed up the upgrade process. To gun enthusiasts, knife collectors, and lovers of weapons of any and all kinds, here's your ticket to the gun show. Specifically, a ticket to be redeemed at the merchant shop. It's a weird way to put that as well. Like, I know you're getting weapons, but like, it just feels weird to like.
Well, you're paying real money to get to go to the gun show, Tim.
Yeah.
You love guns.
Yeah.
You love paying money.
I guess so. With this, you'll have access to a weapons exclusive upgrade at any time, regardless of the weapon's level. Not only that, but once unlocked, the upgrade itself is free of charge.
There you go.
Yay. This item will be added to the treasures menu and will be available across all your save data. Each upgrade ticket costs $2.99, and there are also a number of multi-packs letting players buy 3 or 5 tickets at a discount. In total, if players were to buy everything, they'd get 23 upgrade tickets at a total of $55.89. There's no indication from Capcom that microtransactions were being added to the game.
I'll be honest, this doesn't bother me that much. Like, I can see how it could rub people the wrong way, but having played through the game, I never felt at any point like the game was hindering my progress based on wanting to nickel and dime me. Like, yeah, like you are not able to get an abundance of tickets to upgrade your weapons, but it feels like that's the way the game should be played, right? It feels like you got to make the decision of what weapons you want to upgrade with the resources you have. If you want more Reese's Pieces, if you want more resources, you got to explore more, right? And like get the things so you can get the ticket so that you can get the ultimate upgrade for one weapon of your choice. That feels like the way the game is designed. If anything, like, and honestly, this is the way that I think stuff like this should be. It seems like if you buy the tickets, you're kind of breaking the game for yourself, right? And I think that is how that should work. If I want to pay $3 or $55 to get like all these tickets to like break the progression so that I can be this all-powerful being, sure, like why not? I think that's fine.
It's interesting. Like, I'm torn on it, where I think at the end of the day, I personally align with you, where I'm just like, I don't think this is that big of a deal, and it is entirely optional, and just don't do it if you don't want to do it. And to stay on this, like, side for this, it's like, this is a single-player game. I want more single-player games out there, and more ways for those games to make money that don't actually affect me is a good thing for those games to be made more, and more remakes of games I love and all that stuff. Now, on the flip side of it, it's like, it's scummy. It's really not cool to like have to find new ways to like make money from a single player game. It's like, well, we just had a story about the topping 4 million units. Like, that's great, right? On its way to 5. It's going to keep going up. Like, you're making the money there. The support is there already. So it just kind of feels a little bit like, like to take something so beloved and to tarnish it with these type of things.
Yeah. I think that's like the part where I understand it, how it could run people the wrong way. The fact that you're talking about a game that people consider a classic, people consider one of the greatest. It was originally a PS2 thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Didn't have microtransactions on the PS2 or GameCube.
Yeah.
And so when you add that into a game, into that game, right? Like this is supposed to be the premier version, the most prestige version of that game, and you're adding in these features that could rub people as, oh man, you're nickel and diming me now. I understand how that can bum people out, but also that I think you're also talking about what video games are in 2023 versus what video games were in 2004.
Alex J. Sandoval, to that point, says this used to be a cheat code.
Yeah, no, but also cheat codes, those aren't around anymore.
Exactly. So this is the modern version of it. So that's what I'm saying is like at the end of the day, I don't think this is that bad, and it doesn't actually, like, to your point, I feel like doing this actually hinders your experience with the game if you're planning on actually playing the game a certain way. It also just allows you to play the game a different way if you want to do that and break the game and find the fun that way. And the pricing's not that egregious if you are targeting specific weapons or whatever. And I'm seeing in the chat, Charles Jacobson was saying that they've been doing this since RE7. Like they've been doing this for all the modern REs. So yeah, not like it's a major surprise. It is just kind of like, oh man.
And there is there is New Game Plus in ways that and your weapons carry over, right? And I think if you do want to have multiple weapons that do have like their ultimate upgrade in there, like you can get there, right? Like you can do that through New Game Plus and through just playing the game. Like it's not like this is the only way. Like, if it was hey, here's an exclusive weapon that you can only get by giving us the bucks, giving us the money, giving us what did Greg call them, the smackaroos?
Smackaroos.
Giving us the smackaroos. Then that'd be one thing. Then I'd be like, all right, that's a bummer. But the fact that you can upgrade the stuff in game and get to where like you can do all this stuff in game. Yeah, sure, why not? Like, I'm not gonna buy it. Like, I'm not gonna spend the money for it. I'm sure Snow White Michael will.
So there's a question here from Harrison Holtz McHale saying, with the release of RE4's Mercenaries mode introducing microtransactions for the exclusive weapon upgrades, how do you feel about this strategy to include microtransactions without having them considered in embargo reviews?
See, now that I think is a more interesting aspect of this, right? The fact that this is coming in as an update weeks after the game has come out. And I'm of two minds with it. Like, I think on one hand, again, I look at this and I'm like, well, this doesn't really affect the game. Like, most people would not, I don't think, are gonna buy these upgrade tickets. And so I'm, as a reviewer, right, I'm still gonna speak to that experience. I don't think this would change my opinion on the game whatsoever. On the other hand, like, that is kind of a backdoor way to get around, hey, we're adding in this feature that we know people aren't gonna like. Keep it until after the game is out, right? Keep it until after reviews are up so that we can skirt behind that. I do think that can be icky, but I don't feel that icked out by it in this scenario. It is case by case for it.
I mean, I think a big thing here is in comparison to a lot of other games that do similar things like this, this is a single player game first. Like the amount of people buying RE4 for the RE4 campaign versus Mercenaries mode, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a wide gap between that. Having said that, there are people that are probably going to want to play Mercenaries mode in 4 more than they would in some of the other RE titles where there's a quality level to it. But did you play any of it?
Mercenaries.
Question here: is Mercenaries mode just added now, or
it was just added? Yeah.
Because if it's just added now, I don't even think that's as bad as if it was added and then they add the microtransactions 2 weeks later. You get what I'm saying? Like if the whole mode with that stuff is added later, that's just, I see that as like value add for the game in the sense of like people are buying it for the campaign. This multiplayer mode is just to keep people going after they beat it. But that just goes back to how people review games to begin with. Like when you review a game, I mean, I know how we review it here at Kind of Funny. We're not reviewing every mode in the game and all that stuff. We're reviewing what the game is to us. And like RE4 to you was playing the campaign. Are you ever going to play Mercenaries mode for even 1 second?
No, I'm not.
Straight up. And like you still did the review and that's right? Still
like when I talk about my experience with The Last of Us, the first game back in 2013, half of my experience with that game was how much I love the multiplayer in that game. That's not going to speak to everybody. I'm sure if I talk to you, I don't know if you play the multiplayer.
People say Mercenaries is not multiplayer. I don't play Mercenaries.
Okay. I think Mercenaries, that's what I thought. I thought Mercenaries was just like the survival / like horde mode type thing, right? Which I think comes back to, I don't think Capcom did this to skirt reviews. I don't think they did this to try and get around the idea that somebody might review their game worse if they knew that there were microtransactions in there. I think it is more so of hey, that's secondary, like get the game out, make sure that's good, all this stuff, and then weeks later we will add Mercenaries and then also add the microtransaction stuff in the updates. Like I think that is just how game development works. That is how much work it takes to put out a game and make sure that you're putting out everything in a state of quality. I don't think they're doing this to like get around that stuff. But yeah, like I don't really care about Mercenaries that much. Even if Mercenaries was there when I was playing it for review, I wouldn't care about it. Like, I don't know. I maybe peek into it for a few seconds to see what it is and maybe try it out once or twice, but I don't think it's something that I would spend time with. And then yeah, same with the microtransactions. I don't think I'll bat an eye. Like I wouldn't pay for any of the tickets to get my upgrades or anything. That's not something that appeals to me in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Bless?
What up, Tim?
You know what appeals to me?
What appeals to you?
Value.
Yeah.
Deals.
Love deals.
Offers. Patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get the show ad-free. You should go do that. But for everyone else, here's a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Evil Dead Rise for sponsoring this episode. You can get your tickets now to see Evil Dead Rise in theaters April 21st. People are saying this movie is absolutely terrifying, and I personally can't wait to see it in a theater because there's few things in life are as special as watching a real scary horror movie surrounded by people freaking out with you. Moving the action out of the woods and into the city, Evil Dead Rise tells a twisted tale of two estranged sisters played by Sullivan and Sutherland, whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, if I had a nickel, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. New Line Cinema and Renaissance Pictures present a return to the iconic horror franchise, and we are hitting entirely new levels of fear here with this one. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for this, but wow, you definitely should. You look like you need a little bit of fear in your life. And then you can go to evildeadrisemovie.com to get your tickets now to see Evil Dead Rise in theaters April 21st. Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Do you want to look as cool as I look? Yes, you do. And you can. You can take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an unbeatable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn in my life. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusively for you listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can go to shadyrays.com and use the code KINDAFUNNY. You can get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Promo code KINDAFUNNY at shadyrays.com. Story number 3, everybody. Sony has reportedly cut PSVR 2 production by 20%. This comes from Nicholas Tan at PlayStation Lifestyle. Sony has reduced its PSVR 2 production by 20%, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, a tech insider primarily known for his analysis and projections for future Apple products. That's really funny. I see his name so often on different subreddits that I look at for like leaked Apple shit. So yeah, doing his thing. This counters a prior statement from Sony in January where it denied reports that it had cut production numbers of the headset due to middling pre-order figures. In addition to his critical update that Sony has cut PSVR 2 production, Kuo does not share a positive outlook on AR and VR headsets for the near future in his latest Medium article. The Meta Quest Pro only shipped around 300K during its product lifecycle, while Pico, who could ever know?
Who could figure that out?
Biggest AR VR headset company in China, had shipments in 2022 that were more than 40% lower than expected. These figures, he concludes, mean that AR and VR headsets like PSVR 2 are not the next star product in consumer electronics in the foreseeable future. He believes Apple's one of the last hopes that this position might change, but he still thinks that the market may overestimate these headsets over the next few years in terms of their overall contribution to companies that supply components for them. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Not a surprise, right? Whether or not these reports are true, right? Like we've heard similar things before, right? Like there was the time where it was reported by I forget who, but then Sony came out and they were like, no, we're still good. Like we still have these same sales projections, right? Now it's popping up again. I wouldn't be surprised if this is true. Just based off of what the market is right now. We've talked about this a million times. The fact that money's tight right now for a lot of people. People don't have as much money to spend on something like VR, right? Especially when you don't have a wide outlook of super exciting software coming in the not near future, in the long term, right? Like, I don't think you have the what you call like unicorn titles for VR that have people coming out and being like, oh, I need to get this thing. Like right now for PSVR 2, you're talking about Horizon Call of the Mountain, which I'd say is fine. You're talking about things like Gran Turismo 7 in VR, which I think is really good. And then you're talking about like Resident Evil and then a handful of other games. But a lot of those games I would say are not system sellers. And so I'm very curious. I can't wait to see if we ever see the numbers for PSVR 2. That's another thing is I don't know if they're ever going to report those numbers.
They're going to hit enough to make it worth talking about.
Yeah, because I can't, like, I'd be so shocked if we're talking about something that's in the millions, but you know, we'll see when and if the numbers come out.
I want this stuff to work so bad. I'm a tech person. I love this. I remember when Google Glass was a thing in like, what was it, 2013 or something like that? Like, it was kind of funny existing. And I remember I got to try them because one of my friends had access to one for a weekend or whatever, and putting on these dumbass glasses with the weird little camera thing and getting the heads up display. And it was like, this is so nifty, but like, what are we actually going to use it for? Like, what are the real world advantages to all of this stuff? And now here I am, 10 years later. Oh my God.
I just saw your life flash before your eyes.
No, but I have my watch on me, right? And I get my notifications, and that's kind of what I like my Apple Watch for. It makes me get my notifications slightly sooner than
quicker.
looking at my phone, you know? But whatever, it's cool. And I get pictures of my pooches. You know, I get to cycle through, get a little. Well, when it works, it's always worked. It's just not working right now. Anyway,
I believe you.
I get to look at my dogs, and I like that every day. Bless. But I think that's kind of where certain tech just kind of fizzles out, right? Where it's like it has like a lot of promise, and then it gets mainstreamed. Apple usually has something to do with that part, and then we iterate and iterate until it's just an annualized thing, and we kind of all just expect it. And you're either like, I want one of those, or I don't want one of those. The Google Glass stuff just kind of stopped. And then the VR shift happened. And then that was like, all right, we're going full-on headsets. We're going the full-on experience. So less AR, more VR. In the last year or two, there's been a lot of hints towards it being more of a mix. And we see the more successful VR headsets all have that pass-through ability. And like they have been iterating and like solving a lot of the cumbersome issues that previous headsets have had. We're still not at that tipping point, though, of it just working the way things should and people having needs that they want met, that are actually being met simply and affordably, or even not affordably, but like worth the price to it. Where right now there's like a barrier of entry where there is still the early adopters. Like I feel like all VR right now is early adoption, and there's pros and cons to all of that. Apple keeps delaying and pushing its reveal of its VR, AR headset, whatever it is. Still, right now, June looks like the time. Like it seems like they're gonna show it off for the first time in June. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case based off what's being talked about here. What does this all mean for VR? Will there be a PSVR 3?
Oh, no, there's not going to. I would be shocked. I think the VR space would have to completely shift and change. And maybe that is Apple, right? Maybe that is Apple coming through and being like, we figured this shit out. We know what it needs to be in order to be successful and in order to be affordable and all these things, right? I have a tough time thinking about what that would be today because I've had the experiences with VR where I'm like, whoa, this is mind-blowing. This is really cool. Like yesterday on Remember Blank that you can get right now on Patreon, we talked about the gaming experiences that blew our mind. And both me and Greg brought up some VR examples. And one of the examples I brought up was Beat Saber. Like playing that for the first time and playing that for the months after and years after I played this for the first time, I continue to be blown away by it, right? That is a...
Why?
Because it just worked.
It just worked.
It just worked. It was easy. It was simple. And it was fun, right? Like it was such a good time. That is such a... I think not a tough thing to nail. I mean, it is a tough thing to nail, but also it's like so much needs to come together, right? And like I think you can only have a handful of Beat Sabers before it's like, all right, but what else can you give me though? Like I think Astrobot is another one of those where it's like, wow, like that floored me, that blew me away. What else do you got now, right?
Yeah.
And like you know, I got Gran Turismo, and Gran Turismo I wouldn't put on the level of Beat Saber or Astrobot, but like you know, it was really neat. And every now and then VR can give you some really neat experiences, but I think you need a lot more of the people need to check this thing out. Like this is actually the future of gaming. I don't know if VR can actually be that. Like that is my worry with it. I think right now VR is a thing that is an additional way to interact with the platform, right? An additional peripheral that you can get for the PlayStation 5. But I don't know. I don't know what you need to do in order to make it more of a widely adopted thing for the PlayStation audience.
It's really interesting, and like obviously there's bubbles everywhere wherever you are. Being in the Bay Area, a very tech focused area, there's going to be a lot more adoption of things like this. But I would be willing to bet that any restaurant you go to in San Francisco, it would be a safe bet to be like 50% of the people here have probably owned a smartwatch at some point. And I think that that's a wild stat to look at and be like, oh man, like that's made the market penetration. Like that's happened. And that shift has happened because when the watch first came out, it was like $1,300 or whatever from Apple. And then now you can get one for like $200, you know? That all happened within like a 4-year period of it being the, hey, here's the proof of concept of early adopters and you want this as its premium product, and then it makes its way down to the general consumer. I can't fathom that happening for VR headsets. And you apply what I just said to video games. You expect walking into somebody's house that they have at least a console at this point, right? Like I wouldn't go to somebody's house that is our age and assume that they don't have at least a PS4 or Xbox One, right?
Sure, yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I can't fathom a time where anything I'm saying I can apply to VR. You know, I feel like it's always going to be a much more niche thing until there is that breaking point. And when's that going to happen? Is that going to happen?
And maybe that's Apple.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be. No. But I think that if not them, then...
If not them, then I don't know like who's left
to
try and make that happen.
Yeah, so we'll see. Story number 4, a new Sony patent shows a controller that can change temperature.
Now this is the technology I'm talking about.
Here we go, everybody. A new Sony patent shows a controller that can change temperature. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. As initially spotted by Exputer, the patent, which is simply named controller, could be partly made of a softer material rather than hard plastic. This material could be elastically deformable, such as a silicone gel-based material, and would be connected to a circuit that processes information. According to Sony, by making part of the controller out of this elastic material instead of hard plastic, it could make the controller capable of enriching haptic experiences. It also, however, states that a temperature control apparatus, such as a Peltier element, capable of electrically changing temperature, may be provided on the front surface of or inside the elastic member. Is this a fucking dildo?
I'm glad you... Okay, I didn't know whether I was crazy when I was first reading through this article. Because I legitimately... I'm like, you're describing a sex toy, like in this patent. Like you're gonna the things that people will be able to do with this. You're telling me that it has haptics and vibration
in its elastic member,
and it has an elastic. It's ergonomically, which is a form factor to your delight, and it can change temperature.
See,
I can warm this thing up.
Hold on. Theoretically, this could mean that if players enter a volcano or a snowy area in the game, the controller may be able to heat up or cool down accordingly. In 2020, another Sony patent was spotted for a controller that would gather biofeedback from a player's hands, such as sweat secretion and heart rate, and change games accordingly.
Come on.
Porn is always at the forefront of technology, and that's been the thing. So, hey, apply this to VR.
Oh my! What the fuck?
Shit. Okay, but taking the porn out of this, who wants to be holding like a warm controller?
It's always that
or
weird
a
thing,
cold
right?
Controller, you know.
When they introduced Rumble back in the 90s, it was like such a cool novelty. Then it kind of became a baked-in experience to what video games are, and there's kind of just an expectation that your controller vibrates in a certain way. And there's been refinement of that with the HD Rumble and the haptic feedback from PlayStation. But then there's always the, like, when does it go too far? Like, when is it just gimmicky for gimmick's sake, right? And I'd be interested if this ever actually comes out, unless it is paired with VR, unless it is paired with a gimmicky experience. And that is the point of it all. But this does remind me of something.
What's that?
The Nintendo Vitality sensor.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. That's a good call.
But yeah, well... Patents are fun.
Patents are fun, and most of these patents don't come to be real things. Like I'm still waiting for my robot that's gonna sit next to me and watch me play video games and applaud me. or berate me.
About that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you weren't here on PS Love You last week. Yeah, we talked about that last week again.
God,
Like
that was like years ago.
that was years ago. And yeah, I mean, this biofeedback thing that measures your sweat secretion and heart rate, that was back in 2020. Like there are so many of these patents that just don't happen. But I love the fact that Sony's thinking about it.
Yeah.
I chalk this up to Sony being bored. I think they're so successful right now, and they're selling selling consoles, and they're like, we got no competition. What are we gonna do? And somebody's like, I don't know, man. What if we made a controller that changes temperature? And like,
what if we made a little friend for you? What if we made a separate disk drive?
what if we made a detachable disk drive, and we put out a new controller that has a screen
And
that
this
you
is
use
the
remote
same thing
play
with the
for?
360. The 360 was so successful they just started making weird shit for it. You know?
This is what happens when you're on top.
That's what happens when you're on top.
Get bored and start making sex toys.
I mean, hey, man.
It's like the famous rock quote: "Did your scientists go too far, or did they think that they should have gone too far?" You know?
wait, is that a quote? I don't think I've heard that quote.
I love that, like, I don't know exactly what you're referencing, and it felt like you were just making it up as you were going.
No,
I know.
it was just a very bad take on. You thought you only thought about if you could, and not
Not if
thinking.
you should.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, when you said it, I was like, there's no way that's the actual quote, right? There's no way that's a serious
But
quote.
the famous rock quote.
No, I'm just doing the blessing bit.
Yeah,
where
he's
he
doing the thing
always-
with the Miyamoto thing. It's like the Miyamoto quote.
Okay.
That's so good.
That is so funny.
We can't. Final word on this. We can't let this get out to the public.
Yeah.
Like,
we are not mature enough to be able to handle
No,
this.
if this
They're
somehow,
gonna make it purple too.
Oh yeah, they will.
Because when
And
you think dildo, you
Oh,
think
no.
purple, right?
you
really?
think purple.
What do you think?
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh,
What
man.
does that mean?
Oh man.
Let me know in the comments below when you hear the word dildo, what color do you think that dildo is? All right. Oh, Jesus in the chat says, no way, dude. What the fuck, Tim? Really?
I think you're thinking of like
purple's up
Saints
there.
Row. Like Saints Row 4 had the purple
It
dildo.
did have a
or
purple
3?
dildo, but I
Yeah.
think it only had a purple dildo because dildos are purple. Chicken and the egg, dildo or dildo.
Blessing,
of it
what
that
color
way.
were the dildos
Polka
in
dots.
Cyberpunk that you would pick up all the time?
I mean, I never looked at them. That's the thing is like they were always like stashed on a body, so I'll just
Yeah.
fucking pick them up. And
Yeah.
I'm going to call Greg Miller right now.
Oh,
You're gonna
God.
ask him what
I'm going
color
to
comes
ask
to
him.
mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I think black.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's what I think
knew
too.
when you said like I'm not gonna say it. I knew exactly where you're going.
Hello, Tim.
Hey, Greg Miller, you're live on Kind of Funny Games Daily right now. When I say the word dildo to you, what color do you think the dildo
Purple.
is?
Big time purple.
Wow.
He's watching the show. He's a fucking cheater.
Are you watching the show?
No,
No?
I'm
All right.
not worrying about other stuff.
He's a fucking
He's worried
liar.
about other stuff. Well, we're having a
Can't
riveting
even lie,
conversation here.
it's
Thank you
fun.
so much for your contribution.
I'm googling
Bye.
this. I'm gonna see what pops up. I'm in incognito.
Who else should we call? One more call.
Anthony Carboni.
No, he's still hosting Star Wars Celebration
That's
right
why.
now. Nick, everyone's saying Nick.
I love how he's like one more call, and he's like he's presenting it to us as if we're the ones that were like, oh yeah, call Greg. It was your idea to call. You're the one who wants to call people.
Well, I'm just letting the chat know. You know what I mean?
Who
I'm
else
trying
wants to? One more
Oh,
call.
man.
Not available.
Nick's not available right now.
Okay, purple. Ooh. Oh. No, yeah,
Blessing's
purple.
learning things today.
Purple comes up a couple of times in my Google image search, but
Not-
like we
Your
didn't,
Google image search right now is phallic.
we didn't also like mention skin color dildos though. Like that's
I'm gonna
what's
call
on here.
Fran Mirabella
Oh, that's a good one.
God.
if
Yeah.
he's even awake.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are just skin colored,
Yeah.
like skin colored, purple, black are the ones that come up the most, and there's a rainbow colored one. Oh, this one
Yeah.
looks like an alien. Oh my god.
Are you looking at the Day of the Tentacle one?
This is like a silicone dragon dildo is what it's called.
Mm.
Again.
It really makes me sad whenever I see that Day of the Tentacle one.
You know,
what,
and that-
what did you do? What did you do to that great game?
I never just looked up dildo before, but there's dildo technology has evolved over the years
No
because
All right. Purple it is, everybody.
there's a lot of crazy shit on this page.
There is. Story number 5. The Super Mario Brothers movie soundtrack is now available online. This also comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. We've been talking about this, but you can get it now on all digital music services. The soundtrack consists of 37 tracks at a total running time of 1 hour and 28 minutes of just pure bliss. 35 of the tracks were composed by Brian Tyler, who previously scored Assassin's Creed 4, 7 of the Fast and Furious movies, and the Tokyo Drift score. Too damn good. And composed the Avengers Age of Ultron alongside Danny Elfman. The other 2 tracks are Peaches, Bowser's song, which was written by Jack Black, and the Mario Brothers rap from the 90s cartoon, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which features in the movie. Those looking for a physical release of the soundtrack will have to visit IM8bit, which is currently taking pre-orders for the LP vinyl set, as well as CD and cassette versions, and a 7-inch vinyl single of Peaches. Which is just
I love that. I love that they gave it just the single of Peaches gets its own vinyl.
Did you get it, Tim? Did you pre-order this?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, baby. Are you kidding me?
Let's go.
A big tip for any of those pre-ordering.
Don't say big tip after we just looked up dildos.
Big old tip. Big
purple tip.
Big tip. Just the tip. Be patient. Be patient.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's gonna take a while for it to get to you.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
still waiting for
It's
my
gonna take a
Persona
while for it to
4.
come.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while to pop up.
I see what he did there.
Hey,
See
it was
what he
a
did
boner
there?
joke, just like WandaVision. Anyways, the thing I want to tell everybody is I was listening to the soundtrack, and there's a lot of surprises when you listen to the soundtrack, because sometimes when there's scores and then the movies, they like cut up even the songs to be used in the movie in ways that like cut out things. And because of how some of the licensed music is in the Mario movie, it's covering up songs from the video games that are orchestrated that we don't get to hear in the movie. So listen to this to hear. I don't want to spoil what the songs are, but there's some dope shit that didn't make the cut of the movie that you get in this beautiful hour and 28 minute
I just
soundtrack.
watched a clip on Twitter of them putting a track that was definitely meant for a scene that got replaced by like a licensed song, and it's so bewildering that that's not the track that they used.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh,
It is.
Good.
I can assume what you're talking about, and I cannot wait to listen to this shit.
Story number 6. Ooh, this excites me. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection sells 1 million copies. This comes from Kat Bailey at IGN. The Cowabunga Collection sold over 1 million copies, Konami announced today, an impressive feat in light of it being a retro collection comprised of older games from the 8 and 16-bit era. Konami revealed the news in a cheeky infographic that also revealed that 6 million pizzas were eaten and 350 million foot soldiers defeated. We're thrilled and a little shell-shocked at this morning's fantastic news, Digital Eclipse said in a tweet. Thank you to Konami and Nickelodeon for the opportunity to make Cowabunga Collection, but most of all, thank you to the intensely loyal TMNT fans who loudly supported this project. Cowabunga Collection is freaking awesome. It is one of my favorite collections of games that I've seen in a very long time. I think that there's been a lot more love being put into collections recently, and this is a great example of it. You go in, just the presentation, going through the menus, the ability to rewind however you want, all the things of earlier we were talking about Beat Saber, it just works. Anything you expect a collection of retro games to be, this is that. The borders and just overlays, everything looks so good. The different scan line and different like filters and stuff, they're great. Sometimes you can tell not enough work and love was put into it. They just nailed it with this stuff. So anyway, the quality of the games definitely ranges. There's some hits, there's some misses, but hey, overall, great job to them, and 1 million copies sold to this, way higher than I would expect.
I'm glad. That's my thing. Is I'm glad to see it successful. Because you often make the argument of, oh, do we want to bring back these old things that people might have forgotten? Like that. I'm glad to see that people are actually showing up for this one and putting their money where their mouth is. Is that the right? Putting their money where their wallet and putting it on the table and buying the thing. I'm glad that they're doing that.
Yeah,
good on you.
100%. But hey, supposedly blessed. There's this last Ronin Ninja Turtles game happening.
Can't wait for it.
But if that happens, it's going to be so far away. If I want to know what's coming to mom and grab shops today, where the hell would I look?
You would look toward the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah.
Out today, we have EA Sports PGA Tour on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC.
Terrible character creator. Absolutely just
Yeah.
so bad. So bad. Go follow Andy on Instagram, and he can show you
I saw that.
what medium dreads look like. Holy shit, man.
Medium dreads.
But you know what? I got through it very quick and started up a couple of games, and let me tell you, I have not played a PGA Tour in like 20 years. And it definitely felt like that last night where I was like, oh, I forgot how to play like a actual golf sim. But I'm back in, baby.
Be back in.
Oh yeah.
Should I?
It's time to fucking
Are you a golf boy, Bless?
I like golf video games. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is how advanced? Is PGA Tour going to be too advanced for me at casual? If I like that,
Did you
everybody's
ever
golf.
play Tiger Woods PGA Tour?
No.
I think you could.
I guess
get
I did
into
once
it.
at a friend's house. Yeah.
I think you could get into it. There's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, and there's definitely for me who grew up playing PGA Tour games and then not having touched one in 2 decades, being like, oh shit, like yeah, what are all the little changes here? But I think you could get onto it pretty quick.
I might.
But you might want to start. I decided to start in like the medium, like the one right before the Masters for my career, and it's definitely tough. So maybe start in like the rookie tier.
I'll turn it to easy.
Go do it, everybody. PGA Tour it up. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Charles Jacobson and ZOVGM giving shout outs to OC Remix, the Balance and Ruin album. Y'all got taste, everybody. OC Remix is dope as shit. The Voidness, early access coming to PC. Suffer the Night on PC. The Library of Babel, everywhere. New dates for you. Rhapsody Marl Kingdom Chronicles launches August 29th on Nintendo Switch, PS5, and PC. Trepang 2 launches June 21st for PC.
I think that might be Squared.
Squared? Trepang Squared launches June 21st. Mr. Sun's Hatbox launches April 20th. Blaze it up for Nintendo Switch and PC. Deals of the day. The Epic Game Store's next free titles have been revealed. Mordhau and Second Extinction will be free to download from Epic's PC Marketplace from April 13th through 20th. Remember, if you are getting free games on Epic Game Store, still use our code. Okay? Still use the code. Kind of funny.
Is this Mr. Sun's Hat? Oh, it is. It's a fun little 2D platforming action game. Oh, man. The shotgun is immediate. It's like a burst shot. I love it. This looks cool.
It does. Check it out, everybody. Get in the hat. Get in the box. Let's do a little reader mail, Bless. How you feel about that?
I feel really good about it.
Remember, you can go right into kindoffunny.com/KFGD, and we'll read your questions. Just like David Mertz. Hey, Kind of Funny crew. Lots of news today from Star Wars Celebration, but none of it has been game news. Is there a story in the Star Wars universe that you would like to see as a game, or is there an older Star Wars game you'd like to see return in a remaster, reimagining, or adaptation? I was very excited to hear Rogue Squadron was being adapted, but then it fizzled out.
Bring back the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 2005 game, and give it online features. Like, bro, just restore the online features.
Just do it.
Just do it. That's all I want.
That'd be great.
I'd be all about it.
I would love a new pod racer. I know the fact that we got the remasters is mind blowing to me.
With trophies, I had such a good time playing Star Wars Racer again.
But I'd love a from the ground up next gen. Like, let's see the Boons of Eve classic, like with those raised, traced, and all that stuff. You know,
I would love the raised to be traced.
Yeah, but otherwise, KOTOR was the thing that I wanted remade, and it is happening? ? So besides that, I'm kind of just really happy with the fact that we have Jedi Fallen Order, and it was as good as it was, and Survivor looks to just be more of that. Keep going, guys. I want more of that.
I got two for you.
Go for it.
Of course, one, ever since Season 7 of Clone Wars came out, I've been saying Bad Batch, Republic Commando game. Republic Commando we talked about on the Patreon episode yesterday. And that reminded me of, you play as one clone and you have like a squadron with you that you can kind of command. I think a Bad Batch game would be sick as hell. And then the one that I've always thought of ever since this book came out called Star Wars Death Troopers, which happened to come out exactly a year after the first Dead Space game. And it's just a book that just feels exactly just Star Wars Dead Space. Make that a fucking game because it sounds sick as hell. Give me a Star Wars horror game. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah.
You sold me.
You know when like you're debating saying something that's just gonna fuck shit up, and then you're just like, not gonna
say it.
Do you want me to say it?
Say it.
I'm
not gonna do it.
It's something that's gonna upset Barrett. I can tell.
I
can tell.
No. A game called Luke Skywalker, where you just get to be Luke Skywalker, and then you get to do cool fucking shit.
Okay, you upset me too with that one.
All right, and you get to be called the first and last Jedi. All right, the only Jedi. Fuck all the other goddamn Jedis. That's the subtitle of the game. All right,
and the main mechanic is you just whine all the time
and be a fucking badass.
Honestly,
okay.
I in my head I was thinking about like I would be down to play as Rey Skywalker in a video game.
Rey Skywalker,
which is probably just as dumb as what you said, but Now that you said that, I can say that without
You
guilt.
can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll play as Ray Scott. I don't know how you would do it.
The opening crawl of this is just like, yeah, The Last Jedi didn't happen. So yeah, take that, everybody. What color do you think dildos are? Let us know in the comments below.
There's another fun question here if you want to tackle it.
I do want to get into this other fun question from Jakey Oz. Bless. Hey, Tim and Bless. Congrats on the hosting hat trick. 3 days together in a row.
This was from weeks ago.
Got it. Still 2. All right. I have a fun thought exercise for you guys today. When Nintendo launched N64 games on the Switch, it launched with 9 games. The Game Boy also launched with 9 games. The Game Boy Advance, 6 games. If we ever get the GameCube ported to the Switch, what 6 or 9 nice games would you be your dream lineup for launch? And what games do you think Nintendo will actually launch with? If you want to take it one step further, you can apply the same question for if/when the Wii gets ported to the Switch. Thanks for everything.
I feel like there's 4 obvious ones that come to mind immediately for GameCube. Mario Sunshine, because you want a Mario game there. Zelda Wind Waker, because you want a Zelda game there. Smash Melee, because it's Smash Melee. And then Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the 4 horsemen of the GameCube.
It's interesting because with where we're at with the Switch of having remade Metroid Prime and getting the ports, the port of Sunshine with the 3D All-Stars collection, I'm a little less convinced we're going to get GameCube on the Switch Online, especially because there's rumors that F-Zero GX is also being remade or remastered by Next Level Games, I think it was. And if that happens, woo-wee! We are in for a good time, but a very difficult time. You ever play F-Zero GX?
No, I didn't.
One of the most hard games I've ever played.
Really?
The campaign, I never beat it. It is like 4 levels in. It's just
F-Zero historically has been very hard, though, right? Like, or maybe I'm just bad at it because I remember playing the Super Nintendo one and I played the N64 one, and I was not good at either of those.
I don't know that I would say that they're known to be hard games, but like GX is ridiculously difficult, punishingly so. But it's cool as hell. The story mode, dope. Like there's an actual story, and you get to be Captain Falcon.
Does he punch people?
He does punch people.
Oh, let's go. I'm all about that.
But I think that you're onto something here where Melee, Luigi's Mansion, 2 launch-ish titles for GameCube that would make a lot of sense. But then besides that, I don't think that they would get too deep in the Duffy on GameCube games. I mean, let's talk about this. Switch Online, major success. They have a ton of games at this point that are available. Like pretty much everything you'd expect to be there is there, with very, very rare exception. And
some made-up games.
Many made-up games.
Yeah.
An excessive amount of weird special edition things of like, you get to play this with cheat codes on.
Here's Zelda
like,
with
all
all the
right,
power-ups.
cool. But do you think that with the idea of Switch Pro, Switch 2, whatever the hell the next Switch is, I'm of the belief that the Switch branding is going to maintain, one of the reasons being because of Switch Online. And they're going to continue the Switch Online. If they continue Switch Online, do you think we get GameCube?
I don't think so. For some of the reasons you're talking about, being able to remaster Metroid Prime and put that out, and like probably eventually doing Wind Waker, right, and Twilight Princess, you have such an access of GameCube games that are modern enough that you can re-release them and actually have people pay money for it, as opposed to offering them as a subscription. And I think you start to step on your toes a little bit. I know that with Mario 3D All-Stars, you had Mario 64 in there, right? But like, and you also have Mario 64 in the Nintendo 64 thing, but I still think that's far enough back there where you can get away with it. Like I view N64 as retro, where GameCube, I guess GameCube now technically is retro, but it's not. I feel like that was like that generation forward is like modern gaming to me, right? I feel like that is like the oldest you can get and still kind of call it modern. I know it's probably weird and arbitrary, and maybe it just applies to me because I'm 28 years old, but yeah, I feel like it'd be weird. I could see them being like, oh, that's weird. Like we can put these games out again and make money off of them.
I think we're at the point that like modern gaming is PS4. I think debatably the PS3 generation, but I think even that is in that weird kind of middle ground. But I think that we will get GameCube at some point. But yeah,
it does. I'm aging.
Me too. It breaks my mind to think about that. But yeah, I want Melee, man. I feel like that'd be great on Switch.
But I think to Jakey Oz's question, right? Because we name mainly first party stuff. I would also throw in, if this were to happen, Soul Calibur 2, and this is me getting crazy now. Soul Calibur 2, and then also Resident Evil 4. I feel like if those were the 6 games, to go through them, right? Melee, whatchamacallit, Sunshine, Zelda Wind Waker, Luigi's Mansion, Resident Evil 4, Soul Calibur 2. That's a fucking banger-ass lineup that represents the GameCube completely. And I think later on you would get the Metroid Primes of the world, maybe Animal Crossing, stuff like that.
And then also WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games.
Ooh,
Definitively the best WarioWare game.
Yeah.
Jay Baseball says Pokemon Coliseum would be awesome to have on Switch. That is true. Pokemon Coliseum, pretty fun game. It was a full-ass console RPG Pokemon. People just pretended it didn't happen, but it did.
What was up with the Gale of Darkness?
That was the like spiritual successor to Coliseum. Also a full-ass console RPG.
Are those good?
I liked Coliseum. Didn't like Gale of Darkness as much. I seem to be in the minority on that, but I'm a big Umbreon Espeon fan, so they were like the core ones from Coliseum. Anyway, let us know in the comments below what color the dildo is. Next week's hosts are
Colored.
me and Greg on Monday, me and Andy on Tuesday. Interesting. Bless and Greg on Wednesday, Bless and me on Thursday, and me and Bless on Friday.
Did we get anything wrong?
Did we get anything wrong? That's
never
a
get
great
anything wrong.
question, but also a silly question, Barrett. Of course we didn't. Of course we got absolutely nothing wrong. KDG says Tim said he couldn't call Anthony Carboni because he's in the middle of hosting Star Wars Celebration, but it's 7 p.m. here and it's done for the day. You'd only be interrupting whatever dinner plans he has. That's how time works. Bless.
How drunk do you think he is right now? He's going crazy.
Cool
He's at
jacket.
the club just fucking like...
He's probably having dinner with like Ian McDermott and like really cool Star Wars people, you know. He's
going crazy at the club right now. In the bathroom doing cocaine for the first time ever. He's like, I've never done this before, but I'll try because I'm Anthony Carboni. I'm cool. That's how he sounds to me. He is cool. He's really cool. I don't think I've met somebody cooler.
Kebab System was correct. Google Glass was launched in 2013, same year as Xbox One and PS4.
Jesus, I was 18.
That's wild, man.
I appreciate this one from Radic. Sex toys and Cyberpunk 2077, which Blessing was getting, we're getting all the time, come in various colors. But I can't say that purple is a is a dominant color there. Additionally, there's a sex toy like weapon available, a one-handed club called Sir John Phallistiff.
Stiff phallus.
I see what they did there. And it's pink. It's pink.
Pink. Well, there you go, everybody. There you go.
You know, it upsets me when I think about the fact that I said all that dildo stuff in front of Radic from CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. We love you, Radic.
We love you, Radic.
We love you.
You're the best.
You know what? Purple dildos next time.
Yeah.
Next game. Witcher 4.
Get it right.
Get it right. I love everybody. I love you. I love you. I love you. Goodbye.